All right, our next presentation, the evolution of backflow prevention, exploring updated testing requirements. I have got Adam Shaw joining us now, TAFE teacher and committee member for the Backflow Prevention Association of Australia. Now, Adam's been in the plumbing industry for over 20 years, currently teaching Cert 3 and 4 at TAFE Queensland. Adam has been on the BPAA National Committee for over 2 years, and been involved in backflow standard committees during this time. So I know you're going to make him feel very welcome. Adam.
I might have to move that down. Guys, thanks for letting me have the opportunity to talk to you today. My name's Adam Shaw, obviously. It's a little bit like Stuart said, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm used to a smaller crowd, especially with class numbers. But yeah, deal with me. I'll try my best. So today what we're doing is going through the expectations of understanding the regulatory structure of backflow prevention devices in Australia. So with this, the expectation for the public is that they have safe drinking water when they turn on the taps. How this is possible is through multiple ways. The water suppliers provide the clean water, and then the plumbers protect this through the provisions of the MTC, pardon me, which provides the frameworks that makes this possible through the protection of cross-connection and backflow prevention device installations. So just some simple facts. There is over 9 mainstream backflow preventions and RPZ brands in Australia, from Watts, Apollo, ARI, Febco, Zern, Pentair, ValveCheck, and also Beco. The market size for testable devices in Australia is around $25 to $30 million per annum, and there is a number of licensed backflow testers at around 20,000. So it goes to show that it's we're very influential in that space, if that makes sense. We also have 3 different hazard ratings in Australia. We have high hazard, which has the potential to cause death. Medium has the potential to cause danger health. And then we have low, which is has the possibility to cause a nuisance, but does not endanger health or death. So, from a regulator's viewpoint, regulators and legislation is enshrined in the PCA into bylaws to promote uniformity standards across the states. The importance of this is to make sure plumbers, homeowners and businesses understand follow the regulations. The reason they're in place is to safeguard public health and safety by enforcing what has been placed into the legislation. This is put into place ways to stop this from happening. This picture shows how backflow can happen inside a property without the proper installation of backflow devices. This photo would not have happened if the owner and the plumbers were over the apparent dangers that could have caused this problem. So in this photo, for those that don't know, this was blood coming out of the mains due to a cross-connection in an abattoir. So if backflow prevention saves lives like smoke detectors do, then why is backflow prevention policy at local government levels so erratic? So how we are all aware, the NCC calls up the AS/NZS 3500 Part 1, and in Section 4, the standards, am I on the right one? Yep. So the standards and levels for installation, which turns references the 2845 Part 1 for the mechanical provision devices. The NCC is adopted by the ABCB, which is the Australian Building Codes Board, while is the body formed by an agreement between the Government of the Commonwealth of Australia and the States and Territory. So the mission of the ABCB is to address the issues in the design, construction and performance of buildings with priorities of safety and health, and also amenities and sustainability. In Australia, we have 1 federal government, 9 states and territories, and 550 local government areas. So with this, state and local government adoptions. So each state has adopted the PCA into their respective plumbing regulations. In Queensland, we have different legislations to use when it comes to plumbing. The local government complies with the regulators in their states, and under Schedule 101 of the Plumbing and Drainage Regulations in Queensland, the local government must maintain a register with all the devices in their local area. And then the plumbers work to the PCA, the Australian standards and the testing procedures set out in the 2845 Part 3 and Part 2 in conjunction with the state regulatory requirements. So as Stuart was speaking about earlier, the NCC sets out the performance requirements for building depending on the classifications. So for Class 1 to 10 buildings, we use the NCC Volume 2, and for Classes 2 to 9, we use the NCC Volume 1, which then utilises the requirements for plumbing as per the NCC Volume 3 or the Plumbing Code of Australia. Under the Plumbing Codes of Australia, the ASNZS 3500 series is then called up for the performance solutions of all things plumbing. The standards are always called up when the NCC takes into effect with all new standards that are used in that application. Once that's all done, to comply with the NCC and the PCA, the standards, the state legislation sets out that all plumbing and drainage work must be in accordance with the current NCC. The current codes are called up through the State Queensland Plumbing and Drainage Act and Plumbing and Drainage Regulations. Queensland, like most other states, have their own codes as well, which sets out slight variations to what is stipulated in the PCA, but also must comply with the state legislation. Once it has been set into state regulations, the local authorities can enforce the changes through inspections and audits. Local authorities have the obligation under the Act and regulation to regulate the plumbing industry and make sure it complies with the requirements of the PCA. And then last, it's us, the plumbers, to get any information in regards to it. They need to be over all this information, and as do the local authorities. It is always the plumber that struggles to get the information, as they are still referencing old standards as well as old regulations. This is why plumbers and testers are out there at the moment, out of the loop of what is happening, even though they think they're doing the right thing. So what is the bureaucrat's position? The PCA, so there's 4. The PCA provides the guidelines for plumbing, and therefore drinking water is protected. Plumbers are skilled and understand the codes and regulations and products. Plumbers are aware that they must be tested to the 2845 Part 3 2020, and the local government manages the backflow register. As you can see from this picture, plumbers are unaware of issues and the correct requirements for the installations of backflow prevention devices, especially with the changes that have been included with the new PCA. As per the standards, devices need to be installed in a safe and accessible position. We all have seen devices installed in some very different and unsafe positions as well. Once again, as per the standards, restraining of devices is also a major issue, with people not providing sufficient clipping or supports. So the test requirements for testable backflow prevention devices have now changed, as Stuart was mentioning before. And new testing procedures have been added to the 2845 Part 3 2020. Your test could be invalid, and if the device fails, you could be found responsible or liable due to not maintaining the device in line with the current standards. This is very difficult due to the Form 9 in Queensland still references the AS 2845 Part 3 2010, which is confusing for the tester, as they are being pulled up by local authorities for not providing the correct information. This is also difficult for testers, as they are unaware of the changes and that they think they are doing the right thing for testing to the AS 2845 Part 3 2010. So with all that, we have gone through today, why is backflow incidents still occurring in the industry? The reasons can come down to 2 possible reasons. Ignorance from all parties, or people are lost due to lack of understanding. So the ignorance is not just from the installers or testers, but also from the public, the plumbers themselves, the local authorities, regulators, and also politicians. The other issues come down to funds and availability. When we talk about funds, there is many factors, like The public do not want to spend the money on a device they do not understand, by plumbers which are always trying to squeeze costs out of the competitive market. The local government, which is funded by ratepayers and local taxes. The regulators, which requires government funding and is always looking for a greater efficiency. And also the politicians, not wanting to impose greater burdens which may affect their chances of re-election. So what is the answer? Well, I don't know if there is one, but increased education of backflow and how it happens will help with an understanding of what we can do. Plus, increased levels of upskilling of plumbers will raise the awareness and hopefully reduce the occurrence of backflow events. Great form of information that I don't know if everyone is aware of is the cross-connection handbook that was being put out by the ABCB. If you do get a chance, have a read of it. It's really informative, especially for the public as well. It breaks down the actual how it occurs and what the devices that we're trying to put in to protect the drinking water and how they work. It's really interesting and it's a good form of information for all people. So with regards to the BPAA, we provide many things from developments of guidebooks and regulatory positions. We also have stakeholder positions in the codes and regulatory boards. We take a leadership position at water industry forums, and we push for CBD with plumbing licence boards as well. If you've got any questions for anything about backflow, please reach out to the association as we will be endeavour to answer those questions as best we can.
Well, thank you, Adam.